over Shimla Mosque. Hill town turmoil over illegal construction. Residents clash with police. Locals demand mosque demolition. BJP accuses Congress of hurting sentiments.
कांग्रेस की सरकार ने जो 163 BNSS का जिक्र करते हुए लगा दी, मैं समझता हूं कि वो बिल्कुल इस तरह से कि लोगों की भावनाओं को दबाने का प्रयास है।
Shimla Mosque controversy.
Thanks for being with me here on 5 Live. I'm Shiv. Let's get you straight to the top stories we're tracking at this point. A big political meltdown over Leader of the Opposition and Congress MP Rahul Gandhi's "India is biased against Sikhs" remark in the United States. No less, BJP's Sikh netas hit the streets in protest. Khalistani terrorist Gurpatwant Singh Pannu backs Rahul's statement. So does the banned Sikhs for Justice outfit. Rahul Gandhi meets famous India baiter and Pakistan sympathizer Ilhan Omar during his US tour. BJP hurls anti-national taunt at Rahul Gandhi. Remember, Ilhan Omar has been instrumental in many anti-India positions within the US political system. Bengal doctors versus Mamata government stalemate continues. Doctors' delegation called for a meeting at 6 p.m. today. Doctors stand firm on their demands for the resignation of top government officials. Will there be a breakthrough today, or will the protests continue for 32 days and counting? Kamala Harris trumps Donald is the general consensus, but the race for the White House has officially begun with the first presidential debate. Trump calls his opponent a failure. Kamala retorts with disgraceful taunt, but pop star Taylor Swift has backed her horse. She's put her hand on Kamala Harris. Bollywood actor Malaika Arora's father dies by suicide in Mumbai. Her father, Anil Arora, allegedly jumped off the 6th floor terrace of their family home. The hill town of Shimla, the capital of Himachal Pradesh, is in turmoil as protests have erupted over a mosque that is allegedly an illegal construction, with hundreds hitting the streets demanding the demolition of this particular mosque. The situation has escalated, as you can see, into violent clashes between protesters and the police. There were water cannons deployed as well, and tensions are high as the Sukhwinder Sukhu Congress government awaits a court verdict to initiate the kind of action that the public is asking for. The BJP has accused the Congress of inflaming the situation with inaction. Take a look at this report from Shimla.
Shimla simmers. The streets of the tourist haven turned into a protest zone on Wednesday as hundreds turned up questioning the construction of a new mosque. Residents claim the structure has been built illegally.
इसको गिराया जाना चाहिए नहीं बल्कि उन्होंने एक आखिर गिरेगी लेकिन आज जो हिमाचल प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री हैं उन्होंने हिंदू समाज के साथ खिलवाड़ करते हुए महिलाओं पे लाठीचार्ज और हिंदू समाज पे लाठीचार्ज किया ये बहुत ही शर्मनाक है.
Hindu groups and locals clashed with the police seeking demolition of the mosque. Protesters marched towards the mosque construction chanting Hanuman Chalisa and Bharat Mata Ki Jai slogans. Police resorted to lathicharge and water cannons to disperse the crowd. The Sukhwinder Sukhu government in the state says no decision can be taken till the court gives a verdict.
मस्जिद में जो भी कानून के हिसाब से कार्रवाई होगी, अगर गैर कानूनी है, अवैध इलीगल कंस्ट्रक्शन हुई है, उस बारे में भी जो अदालत है वो फैसला करेगी और इस प्रकार की किसी भी वारदात को कानून हाथ में लेने का किसी भी संगठन को अधिकार नहीं।
The opposition BJP has slammed the Congress, accusing the party of playing with the sentiments of people.
जो 163 BNSS का जिक्र करते हुए लगा दी, मैं समझता हूं कि वो बिल्कुल इस तरह से कि लोगों की भावनाओं को दबाने का प्रयास है।
With the situation escalating in the hill town in Himachal, all eyes are on the Municipal Corporation Commissioner's Court. With Aman Bharadwaj in Shimla, Himachal Pradesh, Bureau Report, India Today.
And India Today's Aman Bharadwaj has been on the ground tracking this entire issue. Here's a detailed ground report from Shimla today by Aman.
प्रदर्शनकारियों की ओर से जो सबसे राइट हैंड साइड की बैरिकेडिंग है उसको तोड़ दिया गया है और अंदर घुसने की कोशिश की जा रही है। आपको प्रदर्शनकारी नजर आएंगे कि कैसे वो अंदर घुसने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, कैसे पिछले 10 मिनट में बैरिकेडिंग पर हाथ मारकर, कभी बोतल फेंककर, कभी नारेबाजी कर अब बैरिकेडिंग को जोर जोर से हिलाया जा रहा था और बैरिकेड को जो 4 बैरिकेड बड़े लगाए गए हैं उनको तोड़ दिया गया है और अंदर घुसने की कोशिश की जा रही है। हालांकि कुछ लोग अंदर घुसे भी हैं और दूसरे बैरिकेड को भी आप देखिए कि तोड़ दिया गया है, हटा दिया गया है और उसको डिस्प्लेस कर अंदर घुसा जा रहा है। जो हिंदू संगठन के लोग नारेबाजी कर हनुमान चालीसा का पाठ कर प्रदर्शन के लिए बड़े थे, उनकी ओर से ये ढली टनल संजौली की तस्वीरें हैं और लगातार आप विजुअल्स देखिए कि एग्रेशन प्रोटेस्ट का किस तरीके से जारी है। लगातार एग्रेसिव होकर इनकी ओर से नारेबाजी की जा रही है और आगे बढ़ने की अपील ये एक दूसरे को करते नजर आ रहे हैं कि आगे बढ़ा जाए प्रदर्शनकारी, क्योंकि पिछली बैरिकेडिंग तोड़ी है तो यहाँ पर भी कोशिश है कि आगे बढ़ा जाए, लेकिन पुलिस बल भारी तादाद में मौजूद है जिसके चलते इस भीड़ को, इस प्रदर्शनकारियों को और जो हिंदू संगठन नारेबाजी कर रहे हैं तो उनको यहीं पर रोका गया है। पुलिस यहाँ पर मौजूद है, पुलिस के साथ साथ जो फोर्सेस यहाँ पर तैनात की गई हैं वो भी यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं और आप देखिए हाथों में तिरंगा लिया हुआ है और बैरिकेडिंग को हिलाया जा रहा है। अब बैरिकेडिंग को हिलाया जा रहा है। जो यहाँ पर बैरिकेडिंग मौजूद है, जो प्रदर्शनकारी थे वो बैरिकेडिंग की ओर बढ़ रहे थे, बैरिकेडिंग की ओर बढ़ते हुए मस्जिद की ओर जाने की कोशिश थी, लेकिन अब पूरे मैदान को आप देखिए पुलिस खाली करवाने में डटी हुई है। लगातार तस्वीरें आप देखिए कि कैसे पुलिस का ये ऑपरेशन जारी है। लगातार आप यहाँ रहते हैं, आप लोकल,
हम यहाँ के लोकल है, हमारे पे डंडे चला रहे हैं। ये कैसा कानून है?
प्रदर्शनकारियों की ओर से पहले अटैक किया गया,
इनकी तरफ से पहले अटैक किया। हम तो शांति से गए, शांति से। इनकी तरफ से सबसे पहले डंडे पानी बरसाया गया, हमारी बहू बेटियों को मारा इन्होंने डंडों से। हमारे पास हथियार नहीं थे, इनके पास हथियार है, साले हमारे पे वो कर रहे हो। हमें तो डंडे हम मारे, हम लोगों ने पत्थर नहीं मारे अभी तक, हम भी मार सकते थे।
तो देखिए लोगों का गुस्सा है कि पुलिस ने जो लाठीचार्ज किया और यहाँ पर, और ये देखिए आप देखिए जो जख्मी हुए हैं, जिनका खून निकल रहा है वो यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं। अलग अलग लोग हैं जो इस लाठीचार्ज का शिकार हुए हैं।
I just want to quickly summarize for you the genesis of the tension around the Sanjoli Mosque, which is being called an illegal construction now. Let's tell you where it all started. On August the 30th, a minority group, attacked a businessman in Shimla with rods and sticks. 6 accused were held by the police after this particular assault, and a case was then registered. Protests then erupted, claiming that the Sanjoli Mosque construction was illegal. Protesters are now, since then, seeking the demolition of this particular mosque. Now, the Himachal Pradesh government, under Chief Minister Sukhu, says the Sanjoli Mosque was built on government land and that the mosque has been in legal dispute for over 14 years, but this has now spilt out onto the streets. Now let's tell you what the Waqf Board's claim is. Now remember, the Waqf Board is currently contentious because there is a move by the government to amend the Waqf Act as a whole in the country. But that aside, what is the Waqf Board's claim in this particular case? They say the issue is solely on construction legality and nowhere is it about ownership. So ownership is not in dispute. It is about construction legality, says the Waqf Board, that the Waqf acquired the land when Shimla was a part of Punjab. Prayers will continue at the Sanjoli Mosque, says the Waqf Board. The Waqf has also been made party to the mosque case since last year, that is 2023. Let me bring in India Today's Aseem Basi live from Shimla. He's been tracking the tensions that have been prevailing on the ground since earlier today. Aseem, what is the current situation in Shimla? Earlier today, we've seen water cannons being used, large crowds on the streets outside the mosque area. What is the current situation, Aseem?
Well, as you mentioned, during the day, there was a lot of tension here, a lot of chaos that took place as the various protests of the Hindu organization, they came out in hundreds and the police tackled them with lathicharge and water cannon. But now we are in Sanjoli Bazaar and you can see the situation is normal. The normalcy has prevailed, but the police is keeping its guard high. You can see a police vehicle already being deployed here. The cops are all over the street and they're just keeping a very, very watchful eye. Although the things are normal now, the bazaar is open, the people are moving as in a normal life. So things are getting back to normalcy. But since there were hundreds of protesters who occupied this place, who wanted to go to that illegal structure over the mosque, and the police stopped them from going there. And now also, although we are not allowed to go close to that mosque, but the police has heavily manned that mosque area. And the situation is normal. Fortunately, because the protest was so aggressive and the people were so hell-bent to go towards the mosque as they were objecting towards the illegal structure, the police had to use the force. They used lathi charge, they used water cannons, and this is the reason they were scattered away from this place. And they have not announced the closure of the dharna, not announced the closure of the protest, but they have gone away, scattered away by the police. They can come back anytime. That kind of inputs the police has, the administration has, they can regroup again. This is the reason that police is not lowering their guard, and the police is deployed in this area very, very heavily.
Aseem, by when is a court verdict likely to come on this particular case? The Waqf Board has also, weighed in on this issue. They've said it's an issue of construction legality, not ownership. The Sukhwinder Sukhu government in Shimla has also said that they can only take any action pending the court verdict. When is that verdict expected?
Yeah. October 5 is the date for the Commissioner's Court. This is the next date which has been given. The Commissioner's Court has given October 5. So Vikramaditya also spoke some time back and he said that yes, any kind of illegality will not be tolerated, but for that, to take any kind of action against any illegality, we have to formally wait for the formal court order. We cannot go and take action without any formal court order. So the complaint is about illegality, the Waqf Board has the ownership, and the protest is about the illegality. But this has taken a very, very different kind of a turn. But all eyes are on October 5. Before that, a lot of days to go. The kind of situation you saw in Sanjoli Bazaar this morning, we are in same bazaar where there was tension was very high, but now things are falling back to normalcy. But the administration, we spoke to the Deputy Commissioner, he said we have certain inputs that people may reorganize again, come back again. So this is the reason the administration, the police are not putting their guard low here. Yeah.
Okay, Aseem, thanks very much for getting us that live report. We hope for calm and no tensions whatsoever until a decision is taken by the court. The courts of the country will have to take those decisions. Hopefully, there will be no more clashes in Shimla. We'll be tracking the story very, very closely. Now, moving from Shimla all the way across the country to Karnataka, where scam after scam appears to be haunting the Siddaramaiah government just over a year after they came back to power in a landslide victory. The Karnataka Chief Minister is now facing another slightly smaller challenge, but no less daunting. There is a fresh power tussle, it appears, with 8 contenders within the Congress government staking claim to the chief ministerial throne as Siddaramaiah firefights this fresh scam crisis. Well, all these opportunists, all 8 of them, say they are open to becoming chief minister in case the ground under Siddaramaiah's feet actually slips in the face of the current scam heat that has thrown a very, very harsh glare on the Chief Minister for the first time. Well, amidst this speculation, his deputy DK Shivakumar has raised eyebrows when he met Rahul Gandhi in the United States in what he called a personal visit. But are people reading too much into that? Both leaders happen to be in the US at the same time, so why wouldn't they meet? But conspiracy theorists are reading something into this handshake as well. But Siddaramaiah has dismissed reports of any change of guard in the state, reiterating that he will continue as Chief Minister. That hasn't, however, silenced those who sniff trouble.
ಯಾರು ಹೇಳಿಕೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ, ಯಾರು ಚೀಫ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಯ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಲ್ಲ, ಕುರ್ಚಿನೇ ಖಾಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಚೀಫ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಯ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಯಾಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ? ಅವ್ರೇನು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯನವರೇ ಮುಂದುವರಿತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ವಾ? ಮತ್ತೆ
ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಸೂಚನೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ನಾವಾಗ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಖಾಲಿ ಆದಾಗಲ್ವಾ ಯಾಕೆ ಸೂಚನೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ?
ಅವ್ರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಡೌಟ್ ಇದೆ ಸರ್, ತರ ಖಾಲಿ ಆಗತ್ತಾ ಆಗಲ್ವಾ ಅಂತ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ
ಯಾವ ಡೌಟು ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾನೇ ಮುಂದುವರಿತೀನಿ.
ಈಗ ದೇಶಪಾಂಡೆ ಅವರು ಅವ್ರೇನು ಹೇಳಿದ ತಪ್ಪೇನು ಹೇಳಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಸೀನಿಯರ್ ಇದ್ದೀನಪ್ಪ, ಹಂಗೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯನವರೇ ಸಲಹೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ, ಅವರೇ ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆಗ್ತೀನಿ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಹಿ ಈಸ್ ರೈಟ್, ಅವ್ರು ತಪ್ಪಿಲ್ಲ. ಇನ್ನು ಸತೀಶ್ ಜಾರಕಿಹೊಳಿ ನನಗೂ ಆಗಿಲ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಆಸೆ ಪಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ತಪ್ಪಿಲ್ಲ. MB ಪಾಟೀಲ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ತಪ್ಪೇನಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾರು ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಆಗಬಹುದು, ಆಗೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಈಗ ನಾನು ಇದ್ದೀನಪ್ಪ, ನಾನು ಯಾಕೆ ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು?
ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಚುನಾವಣೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಗೆದ್ದಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಶಾಸಕರು ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಬಹುಮತ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೋ ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೈಕಮಾಂಡರು ಎಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ರೂಢಿ. ಅಂಥ ಪ್ರಸಂಗ ಬಂದರೆ ಕಂಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ನಾನು ಬಿಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ.
This Karnataka Game of Thrones, who are these apparent would-bes? Who are these people who want to gate crash the Karnataka party and are staking claim to be Chief Minister? Well, DK Shivakumar is currently the Deputy Chief Minister. Everyone remembers the battle of wills that he fought with Siddaramaiah before finally having to yield to Siddaramaiah. Well, remember, he's always ready to be Chief Minister. Then there's RV Deshpande, Congress MLA. He's also apparently ready to be the Chief Minister. MB Patil is a Karnataka minister who for a long time has been on the sidelines waiting to be the next Chief Minister. He's also apparently thrown his hat into the ring. Satish Jarkihori, Karnataka minister, says he's also ready to be Chief Minister. Shivanand Patil, Karnataka minister, says he's ready to be the Chief Minister. Basvaraj Raya Reddy, he's an advisor to the Chief Minister. He's also apparently ready to be the Chief Minister. Lakshmi Hebbalkar is also ready to be the Chief Minister. As Shivashankarappa, Congress MLA, is the 8th man in this Game of Thrones ready to be the Chief Minister. Let's make no mistake, viewer, that amidst all this intrigue over scam heat, the fact is Siddaramaiah continues to be a very strong and entrenched Chief Minister, someone who's very close to the high command of the Congress party as well. Well, anything can happen in politics, especially those who sniff troubled waters. Let's get some clarity on this. India Today's Nagarjun Dwarkanath is live with us from Bengaluru. Eight stakers of claim, Naga. This is, this is looking a bit like a circus. What is the reality of it? Are these people, is this just a pipe dream, wishful thinking? Are they really sniffing some trouble over Siddaramaiah, or is this all just drama?
Shiv, at this point of time, only 8 have come on record. If you talk to these MLAs over a cup of coffee or chai, more will tell you that even they are aspirants to the chair. So that's the situation of Karnataka today right now. But I think it's still far-fetched and wishful thinking. Tomorrow is when Abhishek Manu Singhvi will give his final submission or also objections to what all has happened in the last 1 week, to the what arguments SG has put out. So Singhvi will give its final submission. Most likely the order will be reserved by the court, and in maybe an upcoming week the order or the verdict will be out, and then the real game starts. If at all the court dismisses the petition of the Chief Minister, what happens next? And will the Chief Minister then go to the division bench for appeal? Meanwhile, the BJP wants to push the Congress to the corner if at all the case goes against Chief Minister, questioning him on his morality as to how can he continue on the chair if the verdict goes against. If at all the verdict goes in favor, Siddaramaiah will once again be double stronger within the party as well, that all the MLAs will rally, because this is a testing time or testing period for him. If he succeeds this obstacle, he will come back double stronger, is what the insiders tell.
Okay, so all eyes will be on what happens in court. Is it going to be an enfeebled Siddaramaiah or a double-powered Siddaramaiah? We'll have to wait and see. Thanks very much, Naga, for getting us that very interesting, as always, interesting political developments in the state of Karnataka. We've got some breaking news coming in now. "33 days and counting, the protest by doctors in Kolkata continues to rage on. This is a big deadlock between the doctors and the Mamata government in Bengal following the rape and murder of a young doctor at the RG Kaur Medical College and Hospital on the 9th of August. Yesterday, the protests were supposed to end. That's what the Supreme Court wanted, but the doctors have refused to yield until their demands are met. The Mamata government has extended another peace overture, another olive branch to the doctors for talks. She's invited the doctors to come for talks at 6 p.m. today. So in just over half an hour from now, 40 minutes from now, is when talks will take place. Will there be any kind of a breakthrough? We don't know just yet. Is the Mamata government willing to suspend or sack senior officials as is being demanded by the doctors? We don't know just yet. There appears to be a deadlock between the two sides. 6 p.m. is when she has invited them now for talks. We'll of course get you an update on that in just a moment. Coming up after this break, the Bangladesh Hindu minorities continue to be targeted under the new Mohammad Yunus government, despite all claims that all is well. And I'm going to take the mask off this man who claims to be a messiah.
To say hello, I'm so fly. You took a nosedive. Careful when you play on my level. For you it's so. Hey, hello.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra. Flip the script.
Hello, Moto.
India Today Conclave 2024. September 25th and 26th, Mumbai. Book your seat now. Visit indiatodayconclave.com
Professor Mohammad Yunus's interim government in Bangladesh has reportedly asked Hindus to wrap up Durga Puja festivities before Azan begins. Now, if this is indeed an official instruction, it is a peculiar one, coming at a time when Yunus and co have been busy trying to do damage control over the continued reports of attacks on Hindus in newly liberated Bangladesh. Professor Yunus even went as far as to say that reports of attacks on Hindus in Bangladesh were exaggerated, only to be made to look like a fool by the vicious beating of a Hindu boy in a police station just days later. The truth is, Professor Mohammad Yunus has felt the need to issue orders silencing Durga Puja celebrations reportedly in time for Azan because he is fully aware, is he not, of the rabid communal mobs that have now been empowered in Bangladesh in the guise of a student revolution. By even feeling the need to issue such an order, Professor Yunus has basically admitted that he isn't responsible for violent repercussions should any Hindu dare to continue loud Durga Puja celebrations while Azan is on. Their biggest festival, and they need to behave. But none of this should surprise anyone. I'm certainly not surprised. In fact, the very first warning sign that Professor Mohammad Yunus is no messiah was in the kind of huge adulation he received from the global pseudo-liberal commentariat, including its very vocal chapter here in India, which stretches from politics to media to civil society. They projected Yunus as the savior of Bangladesh from the evils of dictatorship in the Dark Ages. They lauded him and praised him as a beloved Nobel laureate worthy of leading a bruised nation back to strength. Our very own Narayan Murthy publicly declared Yunus as a leader that the world desperately needs. He's the guy asking minority Hindus to shut down their loudspeakers before Azan on Durga Puja. Now, some of you may argue that's only fair. After all, the same Yunus government has also announced strict action against anyone attempting to disrupt Durga Puja celebrations, which is very welcome, but it's also pretty much their job. In that case, why this ominous onus on the minority Hindu community during their biggest festival? Because the truth is, viewer, Professor Yunus is no more than a puppet, and I will explain. In the month since the ouster of Sheikh Hasina, and let's be clear, Sheikh Hasina had a mountain of issues we can talk about separately. The truth is the facade of a wise, venerable new leader of Bangladesh like Yunus has come crashing down. It is also increasingly clear that far from being a measured global leader, Professor Yunus is totally okay with fanning anti-India sentiment in his country, the only currency it appears that works in the newly liberated Bangladesh. Professor Mohammad Yunus has proven to be exactly the kind of lily-livered, spineless leader that hardliners love. For all his projected sobriety, he has shown in just a month that far from being a leader from whom Naya Bangladesh will flow, he's just the next puppet for hardliners who had lost power and control under the Sheikh Hasina regime. For years, Yunus was celebrated by sections of India's liberal intelligentsia for his work in microfinance and his Nobel Peace Prize, which seemed to position him as a beacon of progressive values. His critique of the Awami League's authoritarian tendencies, particularly under Sheikh Hasina, resonated with those in India who were similarly critical of strongman politics. Professor Yunus was seen as a figure who could potentially steer Bangladesh towards a more democratic and inclusive future. However, the interim government under Yunus has taken decisions that are far from the ideals of his Indian supporters had hoped for, or anyone who had hoped for a more peaceful Bangladesh. His administration's cooling of relations with India, along with the rise of Islamist groups that have historically been anti-India and dangerous for regional and global peace, has been a very, very rude wake-up call. The very liberals who once championed Professor Yunus are now faced with the uncomfortable truth that his leadership might not align with India's interests, regional interests, or the broader values of secularism and regional cooperation. This situation has exposed a significant miscalculation, viewer. In their eagerness to support a figure who opposed the Hasina government's authoritarianism, India's pseudo-liberals, or rather global pseudo-liberals, including the American deep state, overlooked the potential for Yunus to foster a government that could be even less aligned with regional interests, specifically India's. And let's face it, in this region, India is surrounded by a whole bunch of trouble. The resurgence of groups like the Jamaat-e-Islami, for instance, under Professor Yunus's watch, and the apparent endorsement of anti-India sentiments within Bangladesh are stark reminders of the complexities involved in regional politics. No doubt about that. Nobody was surprised when the first move by Professor Yunus was ordering the release of jailed former Prime Minister and key opposition leader Khalida Zia, hours after her arch-rival Sheikh Hasina was ousted and the military took power. That was only to be expected. Nobody should be surprised by that. A few days later, however, 2 Bangladeshi diplomats stationed at the High Commission in India were mysteriously sacked. Professor Yunus also stayed strangely silent as student groups in Bangladesh peddled dangerous rumors that Bangladesh floods were caused by India's deliberate opening of the Dombor Dam. Rumors that were quickly dispelled with facts globally. Yunus made no efforts to debunk this dangerous nonsense at a time when anti-India and anti-Hindu sentiment was high in his country. On August the 27th, Professor Mohammad Yunus freed anti-India terrorist Jashimuddin Rahmani of the ABT, an affiliate of the Al-Qaeda. What was the hurry to release this terrorist? How is that part of your first 50-day agenda, Professor Yunus? He still hasn't answered that. Rahmani has gone on, by the way, to publicly call for independent Kashmir and Khalistan. So well done, Professor Yunus. The very next day, the interim government of Bangladesh ended the ban on the Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh, its student wing, the Islami Chhatra Shibir, and all associated organizations, both of them notorious for fanning the flames of anti-India sentiment and infusing their politics with dangerous, inflammatory statements about India at a time when Indians and the Indian expat population in Bangladesh is under threat, and that the attacks on Hindus are being conflated with anti-India sentiment. Remember, the Hindus in Bangladesh belong to Bangladesh. They are citizens of Bangladesh. They are not Indians. Most recently, we've seen reports of Dhaka banning the export of the prized Padma Hilsa, or Ilish fish, to India during the Durga Puja celebrations. A ridiculous, juvenile move designed to provoke. This delicacy, this fish, used to be sent from Bangladesh as a goodwill gesture. But the very fact that Professor Yunus has chosen an issue of culture and sentiment to send out a message shows he cannot make his own decisions and must bow repeatedly to hardliners who truly call the shots today in Bangladesh. In retrospect, or hardly in retrospect, because this hell has only just begun, the enthusiastic support for Yunus among global pseudo-liberals, the global commentariat who want the public to view him as some kind of a political messiah, now appears to be an exercise in wishful thinking, driven more by opposition to the Modi-Hasina friendship than by a careful consideration of what Professor Yunus's leadership would really mean for India. As the reality of Yunus's government unfolds, viewer, these supporters are left with proverbial egg on their face, forced to reckon with the unintended consequences of their shallow advocacy. India, of course, is no deer in the woods. It must navigate and find relationships in Naya Bangladesh, including with Professor Yunus. But let's not for a moment be mistaken about who we are dealing with.
আজান ও নামাজের সময় যেন কোনো বাদ্যযন্ত্র বা মাইকের ব্যবহার নিয়ন্ত্রণ রাখা মাইক সেই সময় বন্ধই রাখতে হবে। এটাও ভাই আমাদের সাথে এগ্রি করছে। আজানের কমের পক্ষে 5 মিনিট আগেই এই ধরনের কার্যকলাপ বন্ধ রাখতে হবে এবং নামাজ শেষ হওয়া পর্যন্ত এই ধরনের কার্যকলাপ বন্ধ রাখতে হবে। আর ভাই আমার সাথে আরো এগ্রি করছে এরা সবাই যে অনেক সময় দেখা যায় যে একটা বাদ্যযন্ত্র রেখে দিল, আজান হইতেছে, হয়তো বাদ্য ওই যান্ত্রিক ওখানে নাই বা অন্য জনে এসে একটা শুরু করে দিল। ওই ক্ষেত্রে ভাই আমাদের ক্ষেত্রে এরা সবাই আমাদেরকে এনশিওর করতে যে কোনো রকমের যেন এরকম কেউ করতে না পারে তার ব্যবস্থা গ্রহণ করবে।
I am deeply shocked and disturbed by the recent statement from the advisor to the Bangladeshi Home Minister, mandating that Hindus must stop pujas, playing mridang, singing bhajan or any rituals 5 minutes before Azan starts, or they will be arrested. Even before this directive, Hindus in Bangladesh have faced harassment and attacks for practicing their religion or using loudspeakers during puja. But now with this order potentially becoming law, I am gravely concerned that Hindu minorities will be systematically targeted, attacked, and even imprisoned simply for practicing their faith. What's even more distressing is that while these atrocities are taking place in Bangladesh, India is proceeding with playing cricket with them, turning a blind eye to the crisis for help from Hindu minorities. This is deeply saddening, and it raises serious questions about where our priorities lie.
And of course, the latest big move by the Professor Yunus government is the release of a hardline Islamic terrorist and a hardline Islamist cleric from Bangladesh, Jashimuddin Rehmani, leader of a terror outfit, the Ansarullah Bangla team that is affiliated to the Al-Qaeda. Well, upon his release, this gentleman here, this terrorist here, has called for jihad in Jammu and Kashmir after being released from prison. The release was approved and ordered by Professor Mohammad Yunus. Within the first 50 days of his government, this was his priority, to release a man who is affiliated with the Al-Qaeda. Rehmani also has urged West Bengal's Mamata Banerjee to declare independence from India. Rehmani, who outlined a 5-point plan to fracture India, has ties with the Al-Qaeda, like I said. Take a look at this report by India Today's Gaurav Sawant.
আমি ভারতকে সাবধান করে দিচ্ছি, বাংলাদেশের দিকে খবরদার কুনজর দিবে না।
Hardline Islamist cleric in Bangladesh, Jashimuddin Rehmani, head of Ansarullah Bangla team, spewing venom against India, calling for jihad for Jammu and Kashmir. Rehmani was released from prison on the instructions of the Nobel laureate Professor Mohammad Yunus government's order after the ouster of Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina.
কাশ্মীরকে বলবো তোমরা স্বাধীনতার জন্য তৈরি হও, पाकिस्तान अफगानिस्तान से मैं कहता हूं कि तुम कश्मीर के साथ मदद करो, कश्मीर के आजादी के लिए काम करो।
Rehmani also appealed to Mamata Banerjee to declare independence from India.
আমরা পশ্চিমবঙ্গের মমতা ব্যানার্জিকে বলবো, আপনি বাংলাকে মোদির রাজত্ব থেকে মুক্ত করে স্বাধীনতা ঘোষণা করুন।
Rehmani's radical Islamist outfit, Ansarullah Bangla team, is linked to the banned terrorist organization Al-Qaeda and preaches the formation of an Islamic state. In his speech, Rehmani gave a 5-point action plan to break India. Support Khalistan terror. Jihad for freedom of Jammu and Kashmir. Ask Mamata Banerjee to declare independence. Calls to cut off Shiliguri corridor. Raise Islamist flag on Red Fort in Delhi. Rehmani was locked up in the high-security Kasimpur prison in Bangladesh for abetting the murder of a blogger in Bangladesh in 2013. He has been accused of ordering the killing of several atheist bloggers in Bangladesh between 2013 and 2016.
These kind of futile statements coming from Bangladesh and being given this opportunity to talk against India, I think is against India's interest, and I think India will not tolerate. It will require a lot of beefing up of our border security once again. It will require a much greater coordination with the government of Bangladesh, which it is not good for them also.
Rehmani was convicted in 2015 and jailed. However, Nobel laureate Mohammad Yunus' government not only withdrew charges against several opposition leaders, including Begum Khalida Zia and Jamaat-e-Islami Amir Shafiqur Rahman, but also ordered the release of Rehmani.
और यहाँ के बाद में उसने बड़े पैमाने पर हिंदुस्तान को बर्बाद करने की धमकी दी है। सबसे पहले वो कहता है कि हिंदुस्तान से कश्मीर को और पंजाब को अलग किया जाएगा, और कश्मीरियों को कहे और पंजाबियों को कहे कि अभी समय आ गया है कि हिंदुस्तान के खिलाफ बगावत करो। साथ ही साथ वो कह रहा है कि चाइना को हम बोलेंगे कि जो चिकन नेक एरिया है उसको ब्लॉक करे ताकि नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न जो स्टेट्स हैं वो हिंदुस्तान के खिलाफ बगावत करें और अपनी फ्रीडम मांगें। मुझे नहीं लगता कि एक आतंकवादी जो बांग्लादेश में बैठा हुआ है उसके कहने से हिंदुस्तान बर्बाद हो सकता है।
There are apprehensions that radical Islamist elements could try and create trouble in the states bordering Bangladesh, with the interim government in Dhaka showing no visible steps to crack down on radical Islamists like Rahmani. Bureau Report, India Today.
And joining me live from Dhaka now is Advocate Rabindra Ghosh. He is president of the Bangladesh Minority Watch. He is in Bangladesh's capital right now. Rabindra ji, what is the current situation in Bangladesh concerning minorities? The government, has taken certain decisions. They have asked Hindus not to celebrate Durga Puja when Azan begins. The export of Padma Ilish fish has been banned to India. What is going on? What is the current situation? Give us a realistic picture, sir.
Yes. After 5th of August 2024, you know it better that Sheikh Hasina left the country, setting aside all the administrative machinery. And Hindus are attacked by the extremists when laws and order are no longer in the government. After Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina left, and the atrocities on the Hindu minorities are going on steadily. And it is also important that during the period of Sheikh Hasina, there was also atrocity on the minorities in Bangladesh.
Yes.
During the regime of other government, there was an atrocity on minorities of Bangladesh.
Yeah.
I have a documentation and I have a report, various kind of. I was going to different parts of the country to visit and for fact finding. And we have our knowledge regarding this atrocity. And most of the Hindus have left in the meantime due to atrocities in the country.
Yeah.
So, and you know it better, most of the crime against humanity occurred during the time after Sheikh Hasina left and before Sheikh Hasina was there. The problem is that no government of Bangladesh could tackle the situation to give legal remedy to the victims, Hindu victims. We are documenting various incidents of atrocities on Hindus, and most of the cases have been ended in a smoke. No justice to the Hindus at that material time. And we are also still going in different parts of the country to visit because of the fact Hindus are in great danger. And there are some other minorities and they are also in great danger. I visited different parts of the country in the meantime.
Yes.
And in Thakurgarh district, more than 100 atrocities occurred during the period after Sheikh Hasina left. What is the crime of the Hindus they have committed? They are the Bengali people. They are also the like Bangladesh very much, because we achieved independence in the year 1971, and as a freedom fighter, we fought for the country in the year 1971. Not for Hindus, but for everybody. We are the secular people of the country. What we did during this period. And we hope the government must take up the matter immediately for the protection of the rights of the minority Hindus in Bangladesh.
But Rabindra ji, the Professor Mohammad Yunus government is saying that all these reports of attacks on Hindus are exaggerated. They are saying that this is all fake news. They are saying that nobody is being attacked. There is no anti-minority violence at all in Bangladesh. Why are they saying that?
No. If he says, Muhammad Yunus, if he says like this, it is a fake news. It is not at all correct. Because we have our documentation. We have our reports. We visited the place of occurrence. We talked to the victims. And they are going because of safety and security. And most of them have already been killed. Some of them have already been killed. And some of them already left. I don't know where they have gone. But Dr. Yunus, what is telling like this, it is not at all correct.
Okay.
So I have a documentation. I like to show it to the people of the country and as well as to the world that Hindus are in great difficulty in Bangladesh. They are not in a position to take any legal shelter. In spite of that, we are going to court, and court is also silent about this matter. So what will be the future of this government, I don't know. But the problem is that the present government, interim government, is trying to do something. But what the Sheikh Hasina has done, it is not our lookout. Our aims and objectives to give the legal shelter to the Hindu community in Bangladesh. Because we are fighting for minority community in Bangladesh since long. So we have our documentation, we have our reports, we have our picture, we have our videos, everything is here. Because we talk to the victims in the ground zero level, and they are also exposing that they have been tortured, intimidated, they have been killed by the perpetrator of crime against humanity.
Advocate Rabindra Ghosh, thank you very much, sir, for giving us that very candid view from Dhaka of what is going on there, because it's very difficult to see from this distance what is going on, even though we've reported from the ground. But I thank you for that detailed input on collecting documentation, videos, etc. And we will be continuing to report on the situation as far as minorities in Bangladesh is concerned. Thank you very much, sir, for joining me from Dhaka. Thank you. I want to bring in Gaurav Sawant, India Today's managing editor, also in on this story because he's been reporting on it non-stop. The release, Gaurav, of Jashimuddin Rahmani of the ABT, an affiliate of the Al-Qaeda, being a priority of the Professor Muhammad Yunus government, makes the mask completely come off. One can imagine Rahmani being released maybe after a few years, but within the first month itself, the priority was to release this guy. It betrays the reality of what's going on.
Shiv, you're absolutely right. It's just that it prima facie appears that radical Islamists have ridden piggyback on a students' movement, on a students' anger and revolution. And then the students have been thrown to the wayside. And these radical Islamists seem to have taken over with Professor Muhammad Yunus, a Nobel laureate, perhaps as the mask, for these radical Islamists to rule the roost. And Shiv, there have been multiple steps that Mr. Rabindra Ghosh, an advocate who's documenting all these facts in Dhaka, brought out so aptly. It's not just one decision. Initially, in what is often described as the fog of war, Hindus were targeted and the temples were targeted. They said in the first 48 hours, nobody was in charge. That's why it happened. But subsequently, there's been systematic targeting of Hindus, even though Bangladesh claims that they're far more evolved and they're educated and they're not radical Islamists like those in Pakistan, Afghanistan. But Hindu teachers and professors being made to quit their jobs, being forced to resign, certain judges being targeted, and now Hindus being told in Bangladesh that you will have to stop your puja, you will have to stop Durga Puja 5 minutes before Azan. So this is basically sending out that message that Hindus are second-rate citizens. First right on puja, on prayers is of the Muslims. Muslims will have their azan will have the right of way, and Hindus will have to wait. Their Durga Puja does not matter. Point one. Point two, there are multiple steps that have been taken. So, for example, in Bengal, the hilsa fish, especially around Durga Puja time or in major festivities, it's a delicacy. The Padma hilsa, the fish that comes from Bangladesh. There was a ban on export, but Sheikh Hasina made an exception for India, and 4,000 tons of that fish, according to Bangladeshi newspapers, comes to India. This new dispensation has put a halt on it just before Durga Puja festivities. So all of this shows an openly hostile attitude being displayed by Bangladesh towards India and Hindus in Bangladesh.
Gaurav, thanks very much for that. Clearly a story that isn't going to be ending anytime soon. Business as usual. Not quite. Not anytime close. We'll keep a track of that story. Coming up after this very, very short break. Well, the American elections just got even more interesting because not only did the first presidential debate happen, but pop icon Taylor Swift has backed Kamala Harris. She's shown her cards. She's thrown in the lot with the Democrats.
To say hello, I'm so fly. You took a nosedive. Careful when you play on my level. For you it's so. Hey, hello.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra. Flip the script.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Hi, I am AI anchor Sana, bringing the top headlines for you, presented by Motorola. Death sentence of 4 accused commuted to life term by High Court in Patna's Gandhi Maidan serial bomb blast case. Protesters clash with police over illegal construction of mosque in Shimla. Police lathicharge to disperse protesters. Amit Shah responds to Rahul Gandhi's reservation remark in US, calls him anti-national.
And the big dip in the race to the White House was the Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump debate. But it got even more interesting because right after, pop star Taylor Swift showed her cards. She showed her hand endorsing Kamala Harris right after the debate. In a powerful statement posted on her Instagram, Taylor Swift praised Harris as a leader who fights for people's rights. Is this one in the bag for Kamala? Well, we'll only know when we know. Take a look, enjoy.
This has been the most extraordinary experience of my entire life.
Are you ready for it?
I'll be your host this evening. My name is Taylor.
Taylor Swift has spoken. She's endorsing Kamala Harris for President of the United States. Minutes after the Trump versus Harris debate in Philadelphia, Swift took to Instagram to declare her support for the Democrat presidential nominee, saying, "I will be casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. I'm voting for Kamala Harris because she fights for the rights and causes I believe need a warrior to champion them. I think she's a steady-headed, gifted leader, and I believe we can accomplish so much more if we are led by calm and not chaos." Swift signed her post "Childless Cat Lady," a reference to language used by Trump's running mate J.D. Vance to describe women who do not have kids. She also included a photo of herself holding a cat, Benjamin Button, who has also been on the cover of the Time magazine with the singer. Taylor Swift's endorsement had been widely anticipated by both sides. Many believe she had been Easter egging her support to Kamala Harris during her Eras tour.
Why are so many powerful people trying to make it so difficult for us to vote?
It keeps me awake, the look on your face the moment you heard the news.
Swift had also thrown her support behind Biden and Harris during the 2020 election and allowed their campaign to use her song, "Only the Young."
Hands are stained with red. Oh, how quickly